Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Lexi, and I am not even going to keep you guys waiting. If you have read the title of this video, I'm just gonna put it out there. I have officially announced that I am going to be switching to fit model and competing as a fit model competitor in my next show. So I just wanted to get that out of the way with for starters for this video, and I'm going to talk all about that in this video, answering some questions that I've gotten from you guys. So last Friday, so a couple days ago, I actually posted something on Instagram and I announced that I'm going to be doing fit model. I posted the graphic above. You can kind of see me in my fit model front pose versus my bikini front pose. So in this video today, I'm going to talk a little bit about where I'm at. I am 2 weeks post-show. If you are new here, I competed as a bikini competitor 2 weeks ago at Republic of Texas. Insert one of my pictures above. I have a whole show day vlog on that experience if you're interested. So I'm going to talk a little bit about where I'm at 2 weeks post-show, and I'm also going to address how I am going to be approaching my transition into fit model, because I've gotten a lot of questions. Specifically, the biggest question I've gotten thus far is, Lexi, are you going to have to gain weight to compete in fit model compared to, bikini, right? Because the fit model criteria is a little bit different than the bikini criteria. So I'm going to talk about that in this video. So without further ado, let's get this video started. Thank you for being here. Before I get into the thick of it, give this video a thumbs up. Share this video too if you enjoy it. It really helps with the growth of my channel, and I love putting out videos for you guys, and as this channel continues to grow, I will only continue to put out more and more footage. So without further ado, let's get this video started. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of talk about two different fragments here. So let's start this video with talking a little bit about the last 2 weeks. I am 2 weeks post-show, so I wanna give you guys a little update on what's been going on since then. So I stepped on the scale this morning, and my weight is pretty much my exact weight that I was for show day. Now, I will tell you, my goal right now has not been to drop weight. I will tell you that, especially going into fit model, which again, I'll give you guys a little bit more of a breakdown of my strategy for training, for cardio, for food, and how I'm going to attack going into my next show for fit model. But my weight has pretty much been stable since show day. Now, one thing I will tell you guys that I know about myself, and I think a lot of athletes can probably attest to having gone through this before too, but I know for me personally, it takes a lot for me to get stage lean. I'm not gonna lie, it's not like I don't have easy preps. It was a grind to get myself where I needed to be for Texas, but got my conditioning where it needed to be, and then I generally find that after I get stage lean, for me, it's a little bit easier to maintain it and walk up my food after the first show while still maintaining. I just know this about myself. I know that my body generally does maintain that leanness pretty easily post-show for a good amount of time. Again, not that my goal is to stay stage lean for forever, right? But I just know that about myself. So I have had, my food is a little bit higher. My cardio is down significantly. I would say that's the biggest change. My cardio is like a third of what I was doing at the top of my prep going into Texas, and my weight is still maintaining. So I haven't really had any issues with food or anything post-show. I'm not really one of those people that goes crazy post-show anyways. I enjoy feeling good. I don't like the feeling of waking up post-show and feeling disgusting and bloated from a ton of sweets and things like that. So that is kind of where I'm at 2 weeks post-show. Weight is nice and stable. Training is feeling amazing again. Cardio is literally a fraction of what it was, which I think has made the biggest difference, honestly, for me. When my cardio gets really high, I feel like it just, not only is it time consuming, but it's training takes, a back seat. Training doesn't feel as fun. You're just tired all the time. And so I feel like that's kind of made the biggest difference to me feeling as good as I do right now. Okay, so now let's get to kind of my decision to switch to fit model. Before I kind of talk a little bit about the logistics and kind of break down for you guys what my strategy is going to be like going into my next show, because kind of different, when I did my Texas show 2 weeks ago, I didn't even announce that I was doing the show until I was there. I just needed to keep the pressure really low on myself. But, for this fit model prep, I definitely am going to be more open about it and just share a lot more of the journey with you guys. So my ultimate decision, and I kind of talked about this in my last video. So, I'll be honest, I think I needed personally to compete in bikini 2 weeks ago at Texas to get that validation from, from not only the judge, but I think just internally validating in my own brain of seeing, okay, Lexi, this is what you look like in bikini. This is your best you can present in bikini. And seeing that, I recognized that, like, you know what? I could do well at the regional level in bikini, and I still love bikini. And I did well at the show. Like, I got second in my class. It was a pretty big show, and I'm very happy about that. But I also recognized that, you know what? I still need way more size if I want to do well at the national level and I want to turn pro. And that's, that's my goal, right? So then I was kind of stuck with like, okay, I've got several different options here, right? I can go back to growing, and take several more years of just natural growth to get the, amount of density I need for bikini. I can potentially, endeavor drugs and go a little bit, hard with the drugs to get that growth that I need to get for bikini. And that is something, to each their own. No judgment for anybody that does that. That's just not something I personally want to do at this phase in my life. So that was option 2. And then option 3 was, well, maybe try a division that better fits your physique at this point in time. Incoming fit model. So that's why I decided to go that route. I feel like there's literally nothing to lose. And ever since I've announced that I'm going to be doing a fit model show, I've had a lot of people and they're like, oh my gosh, you're like somebody I've been thinking about for this division. I think you would do so well. So like, I'm really excited to try it out because again, there's nothing to lose. And like, I think more than anything, I'm just really excited and eager to like share this experience with you guys. So that is my kind of where my decision came from. And I love competing and I love sharing the journey with you guys. And, like I said, it was either I had those 3 decisions, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with taking a few more years to just grow into bikini. But you know what? I was like, I want to compete again this season. I don't want to have to go a couple of years before I compete again. So why not try out Fit Model? And truth be told, and I've told a lot of my clients this, I feel like next year will be the first year we see Fit Model on the pro stage. So once the Fit Model pro shows start happening, truthfully, I think Fit Model is going to blow up. I really do. I think that when more girls start to see like pro Fit Model competitors on stage, they're, it's just going to attract more and more people to the division. So I would love to potentially, I'm going to manifest it now. I would love to be an ambassador for the Fit Model division. I really would. I think that would be so cool. So anyways, but does that mean I am never going to compete as a bikini competitor again? Absolutely not. And again, this is something else I've been telling some of my clients. I've said, if you continue to train really heavy and hard, over time and as the years go by, you may very well build up the muscle that is better for bikini, right? So you may outgrow Fit Model. And truthfully, I love to train. So if there is ever a time where, let's say, like I'm doing Fit Model and I'm told that I'm too big for Fit Model, like I don't want to have to lose muscle to fit into a division, right? If that ever happens, I would size back up to bikini. So, but yeah, so now that is kind of in a nutshell, my decision, how I made it. Let's talk a little bit about the criteria of bikini versus Fit Model before I get into talking to you guys about what my upcoming show plans are and what my strategy going into that is gonna be. Okay, so I'm not gonna go too crazy into depth on this, but I would say that the biggest difference between Fit Model and bikini, because I've gotten a lot of questions about like, what's the judging criteria? How does it differ? So my best recommendation would be to go to the NPC News Online website. They literally have it listed out in terms of like bullet point by bullet point, what they want to see in Fit Model, what they don't want to see, and then same with bikini. Now, I would say if I had to like break it down into super simple terms, I would say the biggest differences between bikini and Fit Model right now, from what I've been observing, is muscularity. I would say, like, if I had to put a number to it, I would say Fit Model competitors maybe have around like 70% of the muscle of a national level bikini competitor fighting for their pro card, give or take. That's kind of the number I would put out there. So Fit Model requires a little bit less muscle density and just a little bit less leanness. Now, I have been seeing a little bit more of the leaner physiques being rewarded for fit model. But I've been like, personally, I think the two biggest differences are the amount of muscularity, and you don't have to be quite as lean, right? For fit model, they don't want to see separation. They don't want to see, you know, too much leanness. So that's why, like with my approach going into my next show, I am gonna probably have to fill out a little bit and gain a little bit of weight, but not much. And I'll kind of explain my rationale behind that. But I would say those are the two biggest differences. And what I'll do is I'll put two pictures above too of a current bikini pro and a current fit model pro, so you guys can kind of see the differences. What I'm noticing too is a lot of the girls that are turning pro and fit model right now are actually past bikini competitors, right? So I'm seeing a lot of crossover with girls that maybe once did bikini and maybe just had a little bit, you know, not enough muscle, kind of like me, for bikini, and then they cross over to fit model and do really well. So that's the biggest difference between the two divisions. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to talk to you guys exclusively about my strategy going into my next show. But first, I need to go to the gym, and then I'm going to like come back refreshed, refined, and then I'll do the part 2 of this video. All right, guys, I am back. Part 2. It's actually the next day, but here we are. Also, you know, I just have to give you a little disclaimer. If you see this like splotchiness on my skin, it is still my lingering show tan from Texas 2 weeks ago. But anyways, so I promised you guys I wanted to talk a little bit about my approach personally, with how I am going to approach my prep, my protocol, leading into my next show. So I didn't really discuss earlier what show I'm gonna be doing next, and part of that is I'm not 100% locked in, but I guess I'll sit here and say I'm like 90% kind of sure that what show I want to do next is going to be North Americans, which is at the end of August, and it is a national show. So I would be potentially fighting for my pro card. That is ideally the show that I'm kind of looking at doing next in Fit Model. So that is likely what's going to happen. It kind of timing wise, it's not the best just in terms of like with my move, but it shouldn't be an issue. I just will have to be out of my apartment a little earlier than anticipated, which is fine. But anyways, I digress. Let's talk a little bit about this approach that I'm going to be taking into this next show. So, you know, as I had mentioned a little bit earlier, you know, I have been studying Fit Model, seeing what they're rewarding, talking to various judges, getting feedback, and, you know, it's still such a new division, and I think that's something I have to be very aware of just getting into it, is knowing it's still new, and sometimes, you know, with something that's new, the judges are still figuring things out too, and you know the criteria may not be as set in stone yet, right? So all I can do is bring my best and bring what I think is going to align with the criteria based off of what I'm seeing being rewarded right now, right? So I personally plan to kind of, I don't want to sit here and say I'm going to soften up a ton or gain a ton of weight between now and going into Fit Model, because here's the fine line that we kind of have to balance here is I don't want to gain too much weight to the point where my glutes and my conditioning in my glutes disappears, right? Because I almost feel like I could step on stage with the glutes I have now and do well in Fit Model. However, I feel like my upper body may still just be a little too lean, and I may need to fill out a little bit there. So it's like, you know, you have to kind of find that balance between filling up the upper body, but not overly filling up the glutes to the point where my lines disappear. So that is kind of the fine line that I have to really navigate. And I'm not too concerned about doing so. If anything, I'm just really looking forward to kind of trying something new going into a show, because truth be told, I've never gone into a show where the goal is like to fill out a little bit more. But as I mentioned earlier, like my body has been doing some awesome things ever since Texas. You know, I feel like for me personally, I just know I have to push really hard to get stage lean, but once I get there, I can ease back on cardio, up food, and my weight does stay stable for the most part. So I think a lot of people assume like, okay, well, me going from bikini to Fit Model, my Fit Model stage weight is going to be a lot heavier than my bikini stage weight. And truth be told, and I'll keep you guys updated, you know, over the next couple of weeks, but I don't anticipate it being too much more than my bikini stage weight, maybe like 2 pounds. Again, I don't want to gain too much weight to the point where the lines in my back pose disappear, right? But I do want to soften up a little bit in the upper body, just so I don't look as like grainy or just too much separation in the upper body. So that is gonna tentatively be my approach. I'll keep you guys updated. I totally intend on continuing to document, you know, and putting out weekly videos, if not more frequent videos leading up to this show, just talking you guys through a little bit of my approach, my food, my cardio. So it is a little weird though, because it's like I talk to my athletes all the time about, you know, I think we all know if you've ever gone through a contest prep, reverse dieting is really difficult, right? Just from a mental standpoint, it's like you're turning that dial in your brain and sometimes letting go of like doing so much, right? You get so used to doing so much cardio and eating little food, and it's like you get so used to that. Whereas like for me now, it's been a little bit of a difficult kind of shift in my brain to realize like, yes, I am still in prep, but I actually don't need to be doing all the cardio anymore and eating so little, right? Like I already did that. I am beyond that now. You know, it's a little bit different. And I think mentally it's been a little bit hard for me to grasp that, if I'm being completely honest and vulnerable with you guys. So yeah, just being completely vulnerable, it's been a little bit of a mind F, if you so will, just like realizing, okay, yes, I am still in prep, but I'm basically reversing into this next show. And again, this is stuff I always have these conversations with my athletes in the reverse diet about, like, I get it. It is mentally hard to turn that dial in your brain and switch gears, because, you know, we just get so used to in contest prep, like doing more and more and more, right? And then it's really hard to start to learn and you know, to turn that dial in your brain, right? So it's been a little challenging for me in that sense, but you know what? This is where I always say too, being a coach makes me a better athlete and vice versa, because anytime I find myself struggling maybe internally as athlete Lexi, I always take a step back and realize, all right, Lexi, what would you tell your clients to do in this situation, right? And that has always really helped me. So anyways, I'm gonna continue to share the next stretch of this prep with you guys. So let me know if there's anything you guys wanna see as I take you guys along into this little fit model prep, as I ideally as I ideally go into North Americans. Again, it's not set in stone, but I am pretty confident that that's the route I'm gonna go. And yeah, that'll have me potentially fighting for a Fit Model Pro card. So at the end of the day, like I said, the best thing I can do right now is, you know, studying the sport or studying the division, the criteria, and just bringing what I believe is going to be my best and fit the criteria the best from what I've seen, right? That's all I can do. And at the end of the day, if it's rewarded, awesome. If it's not, we get that feedback, we keep learning, and we go from there, right? So, but I'm gonna wrap up this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. I had to pause there. I didn't know what I was gonna say. Give it a thumbs up. Comment below. Let me know what you guys wanna see in the upcoming Fit Model vlogs. And also, through this month of July, I have 2 giveaways going, so you can enter to win a free Angel Competition Bikinis posing suit in my show day video that is from Texas. And you can go to my Instagram to win a pair of free Nixie hair extensions, which is pretty big. Those retail at like $400. So 2 giveaways going on right now, you guys. So anyways, all right, if you are still listening at this point, I appreciate you so, so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day wherever you're at in the world, and I will catch you guys in my next video.